Hi, everyone. Good afternoon. As we get seated here, I'll give a few brief comments. As you know, we have this competition going on for next generation, and make sure you get ready to vote for your favorite next generation company. And so we've got five very exciting companies being represented today, and we're going to turn it over to each one of them for a few minutes to give some comments. But so reflecting on yesterday, so we had 5 similar companies up here. It was very interesting, and I think the learning that, at least that I took from it, was that, okay, it's all about cloud. Well, it's not really about cloud. What cloud is doing is enabling new capabilities, and we talked about this yesterday for a few minutes, but with this group, you're going to see a similar thing, that the cloud is merely an enabler for doing things that maybe we hadn't done before. And you can see with this group, you're going to see some additional trends and ideas, from application to like the retail industry, which is very traditional, but it's a new way to use mobile and data to enable and to make retailers more effective. You're going to hear about social media. You're going to hear about some other things. So it's really, really cool. So real briefly, I'm going to go through in order. We have Shankar Krishnamurthy from Aster Software, and he's got this really cool .NET infrastructure play in the cloud.
Thank you very much for this opportunity. Am I audible? Okay, great. Yeah. Thank you very much for this opportunity, and it's very nice talking to potential customers and partners, and thanks to SIIA. And again, my name is Shankar Krishnamurthy, and I am the CEO of Aster Software. Techcello is our flagship product, and Techcello is a cloud-ready multi-tenant application development framework, and we basically work with ISVs and enterprises in terms of helping them to build a new software as a service product or migrate their on-premise product to a SaaS business model in a quick and faster manner, and that's the value proposition that we bring. And some of our customers are like Envision, Secova, Sutherland, Dapleworks, Synergita, then Staffion, like that. So we already have about a dozen customers, and we have helped them. Several of them are already live on the cloud and then in the SaaS model, and we are very happy in terms of what they have achieved using our framework. And in terms of recognition, we are recognized as a Gartner Cool Vendor, and then one of the top 10 emerging companies in India on the product side, and then here in SIIA we are one of the CODI finalists. Thank you for all the recognition and support from our customers. And let me just give a brief overview in terms of what problem we solve. So when we look at building a software as a service product, the engineering complexity is the biggest challenge that ISVs face. On a software as a service product model, so you need to be really cautious and careful about the data security, configurability, scalability, and if you have a workflow, it should be configurable at each tenant level, and then again it should be really secured. And then you may want to bring in the data privileges at the field level for each of the tenant and then each of the user within the tenant. When you want to bring in all these things together, you really need a very strong engineering foundation. And building this engineering foundation is really challenging, and you are talking about building at least $500,000 in terms of building the framework, and then also it is going to require significant amount of time, and then it requires experience and expertise. And a lot of ISVs, they cannot afford that, and then they really want to take their product to the market very quickly. And this is where we come in. We provide all the SaaS engineering layer and then SaaS operationalization, like tenant onboarding, billing, metering, product analytics, everything in a kind of like ready to use API and web services format, so that allows the ISVs just to focus on building their business functionality rather than worrying about the engineering complexities underneath. And that way it helps them to focus on their business, and then it brings them a lot of savings, at least in the range of 30 to 50% of the savings in time to market, and then also it saves a lot of budget on their product development initiative. Then it also kind of like brings them freedom and flexibility because like we kind of like provide the completely service oriented architecture. So even if they want to kind of use half of the services from us and then remaining they want to use somebody else, they can use it. And then ours is a kind of like cloud neutral, we are a cloud neutral player. The application developed using Cello can be deployed on Amazon or Azure or Rackspace or your own private cloud. So you have the complete flexibility and the freedom in terms of where you want to deploy your product and then go live. And in terms of, that's the value proposition that we bring to the table. And in terms of our customers, we work with ISVs, large enterprises, BPOs for building their applications. Well, initially when we started, we felt SaaS is going to be a key thing for ISVs, but increasingly like we are seeing the trend on enterprises as well, because like a lot of enterprises are trying to bring in the multi-tenancy concepts. One of our customer, Sutherland, they have several applications within their organization, close to about like 100 plus applications, and some of the applications are replicated for several of their customers. Their major challenge is application maintenance. So they are trying to bring in the multi-tenancy concepts into their organization and then trying to see how they can unify the applications and then how do they reduce the overall maintenance of the applications. So that's where like we work very closely with them and then see how they can achieve their objective. So those are all some of the
that's
things.
awesome. So I have one question for you, and that is, so you mentioned multi-tenant, and that's often used as a differentiator between sort of traditional hosted models and true SaaS. And so describe what the differences are and how your product, it seems fairly complex to get from get to true multi-tenancy. So maybe talk about the multi-tenancy aspect of your product.
Okay, so like when we talk about multi-tenancy, actually like it's not just differentiating the tenant, different tenants through tenant ID. There is a lot more into it.
Right.
Say, for example, if you look at workflow needs to be configurable for different customers. Well, there may be a process, say for example, let's say an employee appraisal process. So each organization may have its own workflow and it needs to be configured. So that is going to vary from one customer to another customer to another customer. So you need to actually you need to identify the tenant, as well as like you need to make sure that the workflow differs from one tenant to another tenant according to what they want actually. So same way if you look at data model extension, while I may be just describing an employee in one organization, when I go into a hospital I may be referring the patient in a different way. So there you may have to extend the data model according to what your hospital or what your education institute will need. So here you need to provide the ability to extend, at the same time have the multi-tenancy in place.
Yeah.
So we actually weave in the, well on an individual basis, custom fields or like workflow, they are all very known concept. But when you bring in the multi-tenancy together and then weave them in, that's when the entire complexity comes in.
Yeah.
Plus you may have to scale out when you go onto the cloud and then you want to scale up, so it should be really possible. And we try to bring in all these things and then view all these factors through a multi-tenancy.
Yeah.
That's the thing that I would say.
Yeah, it's a big difference. We see a lot of offerings that they call called SaaS, but the reality is they're hosted, and it's true SaaS, and has a number of features around multi-tenancy. Upgradability, scalability, and just multiple releases that just cleans up a lot of the mess that we had with traditional on-premise software, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. And so you will sell to the end user companies, CIOs, or you'll sell through a Rackspace?
Right now we are going directly to the end user companies.
Yeah, okay.
So we sell it to the ISVs. Typically we go to CIOs or CTOs for this. But we really want, once we prove some more with respect to, after adding some more customers, I think then we will go to Rackspace or Amazon.
Because they could sell it as an offering.
Yes, exactly.
They don't know how to do this, but they could sell it and it would make them more powerful in the market,
Absolutely.
right? Yeah,
Right.
Cool.
They're definitely a very good potential partner for us.
Yeah, that's awesome. Cool. Okay.